mean you can't give me an ad? Let me get it out of the way, goddammit.
Yippee!
Yippee!
Woohoo!
Yeehaw!
Live from Santa Fe. That's not where I am. I'm not in Santa Fe.
That's not where any of us are. Surprise!
Yeah. We won't dox ourselves, but we'll tell you where we're not.
Yeah, that would be a really funny bit. Hello, we're live from... Definitely not... we're live from New York City. It's Saturday Night Live!
I've never seen Saturday Night Live.
I think I've seen clips here and there. But I remember there was a joke on Friends, because if there's one thing you need to know about me is know that I really love Friends. There's a joke on Friends where, like, Phoebe is, like, singing, and she's like, no, somebody had a trophy that they won. I think it was Joey. Or he didn't want a trophy, but he's, like, stole it from another actress who wasn't grateful for it. And so she started playing with it and being, like, pretending she was giving an awards speech. And then Joey or Rachel comes in and they're like, what are you doing? We're gonna be late for dinner. And she's like, just one more thing. Don't play the music yet. And then she's like, live from New York, it's Saturday night! That's just what's in my head. I obviously quoted Saturday Night Live. I probably shouldn't be crunching into the mic. We're waiting for people to join. Of course, because Papa
It's
is
fine.
crunchy.
I'm distracted because I'm on Tumblr. I was like, before I disappear for a couple hours, let me just get a quick,
Some quick reblogs in.
yeah. I also wanted to, I also wanted to reblog the announcement you made because the art is really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I reblog it with the link. That's what I usually do. Oh no. Need that. Okay, there we go. We're live. Come join the fun.
Yippee! Why do I say yippee so much? Actually, I know exactly why. It's because...
It's the autism.
is the meme caught on to the autism. The autism caught on to the meme.
Don't you know that all autistic people say yippee? That's why the yippee creature exists.
TBH.
Yes. Okay, I just want to stuff there's so much in my mouth.
God damn it. Hello? Huffle?
What's up?
Okay, I just thought you. I thought you disappeared again for a second.
No, I just didn't want to crunch into the mic while I finished off my sandwich.
Totally fair. Hello.
I'm just like quickly finishing up dinner. Oh yeah, apparently they're selling fried pickles. It's not been a good day for me today. Oh no. I'm sorry.
Man, that sucks.
Hopefully a fun fantasy story will help cheer you up.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it makes you feel better. I didn't know what to eat today, so I ate Popeyes twice. Second time I went, I wanted to go get 2 sandwiches, so I have an extra one for tomorrow. And I was like, oh, they're selling fried pickles now. Let me see how those are. Because I was like, while I was eating a sandwich earlier today, I was like, I really like these pickles. They're thick. They taste great. And I was like, ooh, if I get like this thing, if I get like this thing, then I'll get 2 sandwiches and I can try an extra side technically for free. But like, yippee, let's do it. Because my parents gave me money for dinner. These fried pickles suck. They're awful.
Oh no.
They don't have like any flavor. So, oh well.
I've never had a pickle, but they seem very acidic.
Yeah. Wait, you've never had a pickle?
Yeah, I've never had a pickle.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. I love pickles.
I don't try a lot because I don't know, because the impulse never comes to me. I don't know. It's rare that I like see something new and I'm like, I would like that. Even like when I was a kid. Just because like I know I'll probably not like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's so fair. I don't know, I've always liked pickles. They're like salty and vinegary. They're great. It destroyed your stomach. Oh no.
Oof.
I think one time Jury suggested to me like a time of the month suggestion, like to help, because like sometimes when you're on that, you like have certain cravings, and sometimes you like really need like salt intake, which pickles are really good for.
Really?
And they were like, make some popcorn, pour some pickle juice on it. And I was like, why does that actually sound good? It was very soggy. It didn't taste very good. I end up like one of my favorite snacks to make is technically like Korean pickles in a way. Not brined as much, but like I'll put like rice wine vinegar and some gochujang and some garlic salt, some soy sauce. My mouth's watering. And like it like soaks in the brine for a little bit, lots of salt. And it's like a spicy pickle. It's really good.
Spicy pickle.
My sister's also gotten crazy into pickles lately. And she's like come over one night. She's like, Lauren, I'm gonna eat this entire jar of pickles. And I'm like, good for you. I love pickles, but I don't think I like pickles that much. What are you doing? Alright. I was like, what am I forgetting? I need to set up my phone.
We don't usually stream on Fridays, it's throwing us off.
I mean, we used to about 6 months ago.
We had a period of time where I had no work on Fridays.
Yeah. Also a big fan of fried pickles. Like, that's why I was so excited to try these, because I love fried pickles. Like, oh my god, there's this burger place nearby that's called Snuffers. And they have some of the best fried pickles. Oh my god, with some ranch. I was also expecting them to give me ranch and didn't give me any, so I was like, okay, well, number one, that's disappointing. Number two, it could just be because I had to drive home with them for like 10 minutes. So, like...
Yeah, that's probably a factor.
So, like, they're not as crispy or anything, but, like, they're not flavorful, and it makes me sad. But then again, what do you expect, like, from fast food, fried pickles? If you want good fried pickles, you gotta go to a mom and pop place. Sorry, I interrupted you, love.
I remember when I was in college, I wanted to get a rice bowl from, like, a local rice bowl place that I loved having. But, like, my college was, like, 30 minutes away from, like, where it was. And I would have it, like... Because I would have it when I was at home.
Right.
But I was like, it'll be fine, no problems. And I got the rice bowl, and I drove back up to my college dorm. And when I got there, everything was just so soggy.
Oh, yeah, that happens to me all the time. Sucks.
Yeah. And I was like, this isn't good. This isn't as good. Sad. Yeah.
We had to do one more ad real fast. It was only giving me like 20 minutes before we had to do it again, so I'm like, might as well do this now. But I'm gonna give everyone a magma link, so if you guys want to draw along while we're reading, there's a magma link.
Ooh, I should do the magma.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I draw, but...
I will not be joining because I will be reading, but I will be supervising, so don't fill it with dicks unless that is your desire. Just don't get us banned. Also, before I want to see if I can make another nest in here where I can bring you over here. It's like, I can just, like, pull you over, but it's gonna mess up my... Well, actually, I don't think I'm gonna put you into jail or anything while we're here. Don't make me regret saying that.
I mean, maybe I'll say something extremely cursed. I don't know.
And then I guess I'll just put you in arts jail.
That's fair.
There we go.
I'm gonna make mouse drawings because I don't feel like getting out my tablet.
That is so fair. Yay, now we're together forever.
Together forever.
Fantasy Mass, let's go! Yeah!
Yee! I don't know how many people who are, like, on our stream know about Fantasy Masks.
Yeah. It's like, one of my favorites.
Aw.
I think I might have voted for it, actually, on the poll.
You did. It was your vote that broke the tie.
It definitely wasn't. If anything, my vote made us tied for a while. Like, I don't know how to tell you guys, because I don't think anyone watched the polls as closely as I did. But I was watching them pretty closely to see who was gonna win, and I swear every time I reblogged it, the first time I reblogged it, it was tied between Fantasy Mask and Inverted. Second time I reblogged it, all of a sudden there was 4 ties. And the last time I reblogged it, there were 6 ties. There were 6 ties. And I was like, how are people doing this? How is it a tie 6 times? So, I also really want to close my door, but Winnie is guarding it, apparently. So my family
Are my drawings showing up on stream? Because like
they are not. Let me fix that.
Yeah.
I forgot that I need to have both of them open at the same time.
Don't you like stream the desktop or something?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, well, it's not showing up on here.
What the heck?
Oh, no. Go back. Or I thought it was. It's showing my mouse. So hopefully. Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping this
Sorry,
stream
I
does
was
not crash. Yeah, last time we streamed on Sunday, the reason that it's so funny, the reason that it kept crashing was because, like, I think the first time might have been a fluke, but the second, third, and fourth time was because, for some reason, past me put a end stream button to a hotkey, and that hotkey was Control Z. Which, I guess, because I never draw on a keyboard here.
Oh, no, it was Control S.
No,
I think.
Control S was also, something else.
Oh, okay.
I do remember it was Control Z, though, and in my fumble, when we were playing Repo, I kept accidentally clicking Control Z in, like, my haste to try to move, and I kept ending the stream. So that's off. Shouldn't be a problem anymore. We should be good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw a message in Brittany. Okay, we're gonna focus now. We're gonna read. So, hello everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome. So glad to see everybody in chat tonight. Hope everyone's having a great Friday.
Yeah.
I just had a week of my new job, so I'm a little tired, but I feel like I'm getting used to it now already.
Yay.
So now we're gonna sit and we're gonna read. So people who don't know Fantasy Masks, so probably VOD watchers or anyone who's listening for the first time, Fantasy Masks is another fic that Cry's written. And it's
Hi, it's me.
it's a fantasy AU. And we're gonna get introduced to the characters real fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to spoil it. We'll read the summary. That works. Alright, Chase was a normal hunter living in the mountains of Glasgow, but the kingdom is entering a turbulent times, and trouble soon finds its way to his home and his family. Now on his own, he stumbled into the group of harassed rebels who are trying to save the kingdom, among them being a traveling doctor named Henrik and an enthusiastic warrior called Jackie. With his family missing, Chase decides to join these rebels, hoping to find them. And we're going to find out how that all happens in this exciting first chapter! Hooray!
Yay.
So we're going to strap in. It's going to be so much fun. Alright. Chapter 1. Desiderum.
Desiridium, I think, is how it's pronounced.
Desiridium.
I've never said it out loud.
That sounds like a fantasy, like a potion or something.
I chose it because it sounds very fantasy, yes.
Yes.
There's a specific word it means. I think it's like something like a longing that you can't return to or something like that.
Oh, that makes total sense, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone can Google it if they want to check. I'm not too sure myself.
The forest floor was blanketed in a layer of fallen leaves, red and orange and yellow matching the colors of those still on the tree branches. Bushes and shrubs made the terrain difficult for most people, but a single rabbit hopped across the ground unhindered by the underbrush, and making no sound on the crunchy fallen leaves. It stopped by a small bush, sniffed its leaves, and started to nibble on them. Thwip! An arrow suddenly appeared next to the rabbit. It had barely landed when the rabbit was already running, dashing off quickly. "Wait! No! Someone shouted. A man appeared, shooting to his feet from where he had been hiding behind a nearby bush. He knocked another arrow and let it loose, but it missed by a mile, landing in the trunk of a nearby tree. The rabbit was already gone. Damn it! Chase cursed, looking down at his arm. That last shot had been sloppy. If he wasn't wearing his arm guard, the bowstring could have really hurt him. He tightened the guard straps and, he lost his place. I lost my place. He tightened the guard straps and went to collect the arrows from where they landed. The one that hit the tree had its point chipped a bit. Damn it, he said again, whispering this time. If he kept chipping arrows, he'd have to buy more, and they couldn't afford that right now. Maybe he'd missed because it was starting to get dark. Chase looked around. Chase looked through the branches of the trees towards the sky. He could see the rosy hint of a sunset in the distance. Well, if that wasn't a sign that it was time to head back, he didn't know what was. He already checked the snares he'd set up yesterday and set up new ones. There was nothing more to do. Disappointed, he turned back and headed east, towards town. Hopefully tomorrow he'd find more in the forest than 3 squirrels and a rabbit that he failed to shoot. The trees soon thinned. Chase walked down a familiar slope of land and quickly saw the familiar buildings at the edge of the town. Well, it wasn't really a town. It was too small for that. It was really a village, but people called it Hilltown, and so naturally it was shortened to just town. People said things like, "Hey, I'm heading back to town," or "The Millers live on the edge of town." It might be confusing in a more urban setting, where there were more cities and towns close together, but they lived in the mountains. The village was the only town for miles. Chase slipped in between 2 buildings and officially entered the village. These buildings were made of wood and a bit rickety due to being built on a sloping ground. When the village was founded, it was first built on a relatively flat area, but as it slowly grew, it had to creep upwards towards the incline that led into the forest. The way the buildings continued onto the slope was the reason people started calling it Hilltown, though Chase had never been fond of the name. "Hey, is that you, Chase? Huh?" Chase stopped and looked around. He quickly spotted the source of the call, an older man, with a black beard streaked with gray, standing in the doorway of a house. "Hi, Kieran. How you doing?" "Doing fine, boy," Kieran said good-naturedly. "Come back from hunting so soon?" "Well, it is sunset. Do you expect me to shoot in the dark?" Chase commented, raising an eyebrow. Kieran chuckled. "So, did you shoot any beaver today?" "No, Kieran, there are no beavers in the mountains." Chase sighed. The older man had been living there for 3 years, and he couldn't seem to grasp that. "Ah, if you say so." Kieran waved away. "But if you do catch one, I'll bring the pelt to you, I know," Chase finished. And again, he'd been offering the same proposal for 3 years. "That's the spirit. I'll be seeing you around." "Be seeing you." Chase headed onwards. As the ground started to level out, the buildings became sturdier, with more made of stone bricks, and grew closer together. The streets weren't paved, but they were cleared, dusty paths well trod. A few people were out, though not as many as there would be earlier in the day. Mostly small kids running around, and a few people taking turns getting water at the well in the center of town. Chase waved at them, and they nodded back. One of them, Terrence Taylor, called out, "How you doing?" And Chase answered, "Doing fine." Slowly after passing by the well, he came across the tallest building in town, and was once again stopped by someone calling his name. "Mr. Chase?" He stopped and turned to face the building, the temple. The couple that ran it were standing outside the doorway. One of them, Mother Olfe?
It's actually pronounced Aoife, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Irish. Irish is weird.
Mother Aoife was waving at him.
Spell.
"Hello, Mother. Is
It's not
everything
supposed
all
to
right?"
be spelled with English words.
Yeah, Irish is in English, obviously. I hate the English. Winnie opened my door. Or she left, and now my door is just... Okay. If Phantom was here, he'd be making a mother joke right now.
Mommy? No, I can't. I hate myself for that. Oh, I think I leaned really close to my microphone.
Hello, Mother. Is everything all right? Oh, well, can I ask you a question? Aoife? Did you say?
Aoife.
Aoife.
Aoife. Oh.
Aoife. Oh my god, it's the female version of Eve.
Not actually, but yes. That's how it's pronounced.
I'll never forget it again. Oh, well, can I ask you a question? Mother Aoife said. She gestured at the entrance. Do you think we'd have room for another holy symbol up there? Chase took a step back. The doorway to the temple had 2 symbols on either side of it, showing that members of either faith could practice inside. To the left was a blue candle, almost as long as a person's arm, burning and dripping wax. To the right were two interlocking circles the size of someone's head, one goldish with small triangles around the edge, one silverish with a line down the center. I mean, I guess you could put one above the door. No, we can't do that, Mother Aoife said. That would imply that one faith is higher than the others. Right, then I'm guessing it would be the same if you put a symbol in the space beneath one of the other two. Exactly. I told you it wouldn't work, Pastor Kate frowned. Pastor Kate's also a girl, so I should do more of a female voice. I told you it wouldn't work. Pastor Kate frowned. She was the other leader of the temple, and Mother Aoife's wife. They'd actually held two ceremonies, one for each of their respective faiths. That day had been one of the most active days Hilltown had seen in the past 10 years. Besides, nobody in town follows the Forager. But it's becoming popular with those down in the flatlands of Gasul, Mother Aoife insisted. What if someone comes to visit and spread the faith? Well, neither of us know anything about the Forge anyway, Pastor Kate pointed out. We can always find someone. That runs into the problem of nobody in town following the Forager. Is that all you wanted me for? Chase asked awkwardly. Oh no, I just thought I'd ask you first, Mother Aoife said. Stacia stopped by. She was to tell you that she was leaving early and would be home when you were done hunting. Really? That's strange. Stacia usually worked all day, and with the fall harvest coming up, she'd probably be out from the farms from sunrise to sunset. Why? She said something about Quentin, Mother Aoife said, frowning. She tried to remember. I think he might have been getting sick. There was something wrong. Chase felt his heart drop, leaving his chest cold. Why didn't you start with that? Well, Mother Aoife's explanation was wasted. Chase was already running. It wasn't too far from here. There's a phone! In medieval times!
It's just a toll-free call, don't worry about it. As you can hear, call from toll-free call.
Spam.
You guys remember landlines?
I just watched an Eddie Birdback video where he got a landline because he was trying to do it without his phone for a month, and I was like, it was really interesting. But
did he succeed?
Yeah, but his number one issue was the second he got a landline, non-stop spam calls.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Like non-stop. There's a person on TikTok, I don't remember her username, but I know that she has a landline that she doesn't know the number to. So she can't like say take my number off or anything, but she gets tons of spam calls, so every time she answers she does like a really creative thing to make them hang up. Like Dash's mortuary, you kill him, we grill him, stuff like that or something. I can't think of one of the ones off my top of my head, but she's like anything to make them uncomfortable to hang up.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. I remember for a while, and when I took Chinese, I would answer the phone and be like, "Ni hao, ni hao ma, shi shimo," So
anything to make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, anything to get them to hang up. I think sometimes I've also tried to answer in Spanish, like "Hola," but that one, since I live in Texas, is a little more risky because there are probably people who are more fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't want to risk it. Anyway.
If you pull that here, you would get the person would probably hang up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little girl that came in today to work, and she was like, tried to point out a dark color purple, and then said it in Spanish, and I was like, what? And she's like, that's Spanish, and I was like, oh, and I learned something new today. I don't remember what it was. She's very cute. She's I'm learning Spanish.
Yippee! That was a weird. Why did I say it like that?
Okay, focusing. Alright. Chase is running for his son. It wasn't too far from here. He sprinted down the street, not bothering to look at any of the people he passed by, heading to the other edge of town. The building started to spread out again, small patches of vegetable gardens dotting the rows of low stone houses. He kept running until he reached his own, recognizing the gardens of radishes outside and the rough chalk drawings on the stones outside, drawn by children. Without waiting, he threw open the wooden door and rushed inside. Dad? Annabelle, his daughter, was sitting on the edge of the rough wooden table, carefully trying to tie the end of a string into a loop. Hi, Amy. Where's your mother and brother? Chase asked. Bedroom, Annabelle said, pointing to the doorway, blocked off by a hanging length of cloth. Thanks. Chase ruffled her red hair as he walked past, not wasting any time and ducking underneath the cloth. What happened? Is it bad? Stacey looked up, clearly surprised. Chase? What do you mean? What happened? What do you mean what happened? Mother Aoife down at the temples, she said that you had said something happened with Quentin, and that you were leaving early because of it, Chase hurried through the explanation. Is everything okay? Did she? Well, I guess it would sound bad if that's all she said, Stacia muttered. Don't worry, it's fine. Hi, Dad! Quentin was lying in the big double bed that Chase and Stacia usually shared, propped against the wooden frame. Their thick
You said that so cheerfully, I thought that your actual dad had come in.
Hi, Dad! Their thick winter quilt was wrapped around him, his little face and dark curls being the only thing to poke out of the patchwork cloth. He fell in the water trough for Rayner's sheep, and when I looked away, Stacey explained, sighing, got pretty wet. There was a goat staring at me, Quentin said. He didn't seem any worse for wear. He'll probably be fine, but considering his constitution, I thought it'd be best if I took the rest of the day off to keep an eye on him. Stacey had pulled the blanket up over Quentin's head, much to his delight. All the tension immediately drained from Chase's body. He stumbled against the wall, losing his balance in the flood of relief. Oh, thank the elders, he breathed. Stacey stood up. She walked over to the bedroom window, the only one in their cottage to have glass, and made sure it was firmly closed. She then turned to face Chase. Did you get back to town early and decide to check on us? No, I just got back. I ran all the way here, Chase said, catching his breath for the first time. Oh. Stacey glanced at the arrows in his quiver, then at the 3 squirrels he had slung over his back. Sorry, I guess I just thought, since you didn't seem to find that much. It's fall, Stacey. Animals are starting to hibernate, Chase said, rubbing his eyes. Right, I always forget that. Stacey nodded. How are things going at the farm? All right, busy. Jane told me that down in the flatlands where it's warmer, they grow potatoes through the winter. Which makes sense, but it's strange, isn't it? Yeah, pretty strange. Chase stood up straight. Well, I'm gonna go take care of these squirrels. Oh! Stacey's eyes widened. Wait, before you do you remember that you're going to start teaching Annabelle shooting on Hunts Day? Yes, don't worry, Chase assured her. I already have a great spot marked out. Stacey let out a breath. Good. With everything today, I almost forgot until now. Well, clearly Annabelle didn't forget. I saw her trying to make a bowstring in the main room. Chase smiled. It looked pretty good for her first time doing it on her own. Wonderful. Stacey had turned over to...
If my mouse could stop disconnecting! Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Stacey turned back to Quentin, who was picking at the seams of his quilt. Now, go take in those squirrels. Are you going to make dinner, or should I? You seem busy. I'll do it, Chase offered, right after the squirrels. It was well into the night by the time everyone was settled down. Quentin was fine. He hadn't caught a cold, which was a huge relief. He'd been born a bit weaker than other children, and he didn't have as much energy as them. He often felt ill, and it was always a worry to Chase and Stacia. Annabelle was hardier. Annabelle was hardier, but she was a quiet child. She often wandered about on her own and was very familiar with the layout of Hilltown and the potato farms at the edge of this village, where many people worked, including Stacia. At 10 years old, it was about time for her to start taking out more serious chores, and she asked Chase to take her hunting more than once. Of course, she had to learn to shoot first, and luckily for her, he was ready to teach her soon. They had mutton for dinner, which they traded for with Rayner. Chase had managed to shoot down a bird last week, and the farmer had gladly traded a sheep for that. Now, they were all sitting, taking the time to rest. Stacey was sitting in the rocking chair, patching up a hole in one of her tunics, while Annabelle and Quentin were sitting by the stone fireplace, both of them now under the winter quilt. "Don't get too close, kids," Chase called from his position near the window, where he was drawing their curtains closed. A spark could fly and catch that fabric on fire. "It's fine," Annabelle said, pulling this blanket closer and wrapping it around her and Quentin's legs. "Dad, we need new curtains. Those are old." "I know, Amy," Chase muttered, glancing at the threadbare fabric. "We can't get any right now, so we're keeping these until they fall apart." Annabelle hummed. "Dad? Yes? Can we have a story?" At the suggestion, Quentin perked up. "A story! Yes!" Chase's eyes lit up. "Oh, well, I guess we could have one." Stacey looked up. "It's late. And you need your sleep, Quentin, just in case." It'll be a short one then," Chase said. He walked over and sat down in one of the 3 rickety wooden chairs by the table. The kids spun around so their backs were to the fireplace and scooted a bit closer, though not out of range for the heat of the fire. "Where do you want your story to be from tonight? Down in the flatlands? Maybe along the coast or in the ocean? Or even in Solthair?"
Swilthair, yeah.
Solthair, where the king lives. "How about there?" "Oh, how about here?" Annabelle suggested. "In the mountains?" Chase stroked his chin, fingers wrung along his beard hair. "You know what? I think I can work with that." Quentin cheered. Annabelle stayed quiet, but she leaned forward, ready to hear. Stacey sighed quietly, continuing to patch, but occasionally glanced upward, showing she was listening as well. "Do you know what our mountain range is called in the flatlands? It's just home to us, but to them, we live in the dragon's teeth." Chase paused for Quentin to gasp. "It's called that for 2 reasons. 1, because of how high and pointy they are, looking a bit like teeth. 2, because years and years ago, before people moved out into the mountains, dragons lived here." "What?"
Oh, yeah.
"What?" Quentin whispered. "Big dragons? Like in the warrior story?" "Even bigger, because in the mountains they had a ton of space to grow into. They lived in caves, and each dragon had its own mountain." Chase smiled. "Of course. There aren't any dragons anymore, at least not in our kingdom. Who knows? Maybe there are more across the seas. But dragons were very magical, and a whole bunch of other magical creatures gathered around the spaces where they used to live, sucking up all the leftover magic." Do wizards get their magic from dragons?" Annabelle asked. Chase shrugs. "I don't know. My family's not that magical, so I never learned that. Maybe you could find that out one day." Annabelle nodded, her little eyes determined to answer that question someday. "But even though there aren't any dragons anymore, there are still a lot of other creatures. You know what I always say to do if something bad happens in town?" "Run to the forest," the kids said in unison. "Exactly." Chase nodded. "Mom and I will come find you. And if nothing's happened by the next sunset, you can come back to town on your own." The last part was added at Stacy's request, since she was concerned about food and one of the animals. The animals? Animals.
The animal.
"You know all the rules about avoiding wolves and bears, but there are magical things in the forest. So I have 3 more rules for you. If a deer has golden antlers, don't bother it. If you see a horse out on its own, don't touch it. And if you hear a woman crying, don't go after it." Quentin nodded, and Annabelle tilted her head to the side. "Why? In the last one, what if it's Mom?" "Well, you could recognize Mom's voice," Chase said. "I mean, if it sounds like a strange woman, because that might not be a woman at all. It could be a banshee. They won't mean you any harm on their own, but if they see you, they'll try to tell you about coming tragedies. It's like a good warning, right? Except that hearing this warning makes the tragedy more likely to happen. So you should stay away. One time when I was hunting about, 10 years ago, before you were born, I was out with Michael down the bend. We heard someone crying. I decided to walk away, but Michael chased after it. And when he came back, he said he found Banshee. And the next morning, very suddenly, his mother died." "Oh no," Quentin breathed. "What about the other 2? A deer with golden antlers probably isn't a deer at all. It could be an elder horn one in disguise. If you disturb him... Elder horn one, what?
What are you doing here?
It's elders.
Yeah.
It could be a elder horn one in disguise. If you disturb him, you could find yourself whisked away to join his hunters. And a horse on its own definitely isn't a horse at all. It's actually a kelpie. If you touch a kelpie, you'll get stuck to it. It'll run into the nearest water and drag you under, and you won't be able to let go. All right, I think that's enough for tonight, Stacia said, standing up. Annabelle, Quentin, are you all washed up? Yes, Mom, they said in unison. Good, off to bed with you. Stacia hurried the kids over to the corner where the small bed of the two of them shared was tucked against the wall. We'll be seeing you in the morning, she said, pulling back the blankets and tucking them in once the kids were under. Chase wandered over. Good night, Gwen. Good night, Amy. He gave them each a kiss on the forehead. Good night, Dad, Annabelle said. Quentin was already yawning, face buried in the pillow. Good night, Mom. Good night, Stacia said, giving her and Quentin a kiss as well. With that, the two adults retreated to the separate bedroom, quickly getting ready for bed. You ended that story abruptly, Chase commented. Well, you did say they were going to get drowned by a kelpie, Stacia pointed out. No, I said they wouldn't. I said that they wouldn't be if they didn't touch it. It was a cautionary tale. Still, not the best to hear at night. Stacia ran a comb through her hair. And also, I don't think we should tell them to go to the forest anymore. Not without an adult there. Really? Chase frowned. Why? It's dangerous. Oh, come on, Stacy. I know it is, but you can't tell me you didn't run around the forest when you were their age. I know I did, and I walked out. Michael did, Terrence did, Emmy and Amelia did. Things are different now, Stacia said slowly. She shifted uneasily on her feet and glanced out the window as if making sure nobody was outside. Look, you know Rose. Aiden's wife? No, but I do know Aiden. He runs the potato farms. Well, Rose is married to him. The past week, she's been working with us for the harvest, and she says there are new things in the forest. Chase paused. He'd been about to blow out the candle by the sconce by the door, but something about the way Stacia said that made him pause. Like, what?
Did I really use pause twice in a... That was too close together. What the heck? Man, I love critiquing my past work.
I mean, I do the same thing. Townsfolk has been seeing figures of people, Stacia whispered, but not your regular everyday people. Though these ones carry weapons and they wear masks. Masks shaped like animal faces. They move quickly and silently, and some think that they're spirits of some kind. I forgot about this part, honestly, but that makes so much sense why that happened in Long Live the King.
Yeah.
I've never heard of spirits wearing animal masks, Chase said in a low voice. Neither have I. But here's the thing. Rose doesn't believe those rumors. Stacia paused. Did you know that there's trouble down in the flatlands? People are unhappy with how the king is ruling things. What? That's strange, Chase muttered. I remember hearing that he's the best king Glassoul's ever had. Though, now that he was thinking about it, it had been a while since he heard something like that. Well, it's trouble either way to have people thinking about a king, Stacia said firmly. And Rose thinks that these spirits in masks are just people running around the forest, hiding out, being rebels. And that's dangerous, Chase. Animals and magic behave by certain rules you can expect, but people, you just don't know with them. I guess you're right, Chase muttered.
I was very proud of that particular line.
It's so true. I guess you're right, Chase muttered. He paused and blew out the candle and headed back towards bed. Well, I haven't seen any of these masked spirits, and I'm in the forest every day, so it's probably nothing to worry about yet. The forest is big, Chase, Stacia said, clearly worried despite his reassurance. You've probably only explored a tiny bit of it, and the same goes for everyone else in town. That was true. Even in his furthest hunting trips, he'd only gone far enough to find his way back to Hillstown relatively quickly. I still say it'll be fine, he reiterated. I don't see why any rebels would bother us, even if they were out there. He climbed into bed. If I see something weird while I'm out tomorrow, I'll reconsider it. Besides, it's not good to think about these things before bed, as she pointed out to the kids. Stacey sighed and got into bed as well, pulling the blankets up. I just don't want anything to happen to them. Chase nodded. I don't either, he agreed softly. Then he took a deep breath. Good night, Stacey. Good night, Chase. Stacey leaned over and blew out the candle on the bedside table, leaving the room dark except for the moonlight coming through the window. Ooh, water break.
Water break. I remember when writing this chapter, I wanted to emphasize that they had Stacey and Chase have a good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, like maybe it doesn't come across as clearly, because like you don't spend that much time with her, but they like each other.
Yeah, no, I can see that they like each other.
Yeah.
I feel like you can definitely feel that she's kind of like a tired working woman, and so like
yeah.
But, like, you know, in a way that, like, you're a tired mom and a tired dad, and you have to raise children together, but you, like each other. It's not like they're arguing or being pedantic and mean to each other. Which is usually what you'd expect from a Stacey and a Jake.
Which is boo. I like nuance in my stories.
Yes! I think that was a really good intro. First time hearing this story. Oh,
Thank you.
It's about to get so good.
Thank you. I really tried to like set up this town and the world building of the thing like pretty naturally. Like that's why he runs into like people along the way getting home. That's why he runs into like the two holy women. It's all just like a subtle world building in like a way that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. You definitely like ease into it, which I really like. Sometimes it feels like stories lead you in a lot with like weird like jargon and stuff.
Yeah.
Here the only like weird jargon technically is the elders and the gods, but like it's said in a way that you understand that they're gods, you know? And they're explained. And I definitely know that you explain the forger and everything later, so
yeah. There is, I do think there's merit in a story that just, like, throws you in and leaves you to flounder, but I like leading people in.
Yeah.
But, like, I also don't want to, like, make it sound, like, unnatural, like the exposition and stuff.
Sapphire says, immediately clock the subtle world building, writer too, but it was good.
Oh! Fellow writer! Hell yeah!
Hell yeah. Alright.
Yeah.
The next morning went the same as every other morning. Family had breakfast. Either Stacey or Chase went out to manage the garden while the other took care of the kids. Today was Chase for the former and Stacey for the latter, though they switched every other day. Then Stacey got ready to go to the farms, and Chase got ready to go hunting. As always, the kids went with Stacia, wandering around within eyesight and earshot of her while she worked. Though Chase could tell Annabelle was eager to start going into the more dangerous forest with her dad, judging by the way she kept looking at her miniature bow, still unstrung. He ruffled her hair and reminded her that Hunt's Day was just 2 days away, then headed off, waving goodbye to Stacey and the kids. Passing through the town was the same as ever as well. Some people were lined up at the well, as they always seemed to be. It looked as though the temple was unchanged, so clearly Mother Aoife and Pastor Keith had to resolve their issue. Kieran waved goodbye as Chase walked past, and reminded him to look for beavers to shoot. And from there, the day was largely uneventful, which was not good. Hunting was always a lot of waiting and wandering and being quiet, occasionally interrupted by action as you aimed and shot an animal. But in the fall like this, that last bit of action was becoming rarer. It didn't help that it was really starting to get cold. Chase could see his breath in the air in front of him, and he kept pulling his felt hat down over his head. It was old and almost...
By the way, Google, like, medieval felt hat to see what, like, Chase is wearing. It's not at all, like, what he usually wears in different fics.
I don't remember if I ended up drawing it accurate or not when I drew him.
I know I have, like, a very specific image in my mind of it, but, I mean, don't literally Google it if you don't want to.
I want to know. It's this one.
Yeah.
Go. I want to see it. There we go. This one. big old thumb-looking hat.
No, it's not that one. It's more like that red one. Not the, like, Robin Hood, style one.
This one?
No, not that one. Scroll up. The one with the two guys.
This guy?
Yeah. That's kind of like how I was picturing it, except, like, floppier. Yeah.
I remember
Anyway.
when I was looking for stuff, I tried to look for something that seemed, like, close to
like
his hat.
Cap-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to find something
this
too,
one.
but also...
Or this one. This one's dopey. Like, okay. Focusing.
Anyway. I know that, like, in history, serfs, which is technically... I guess that's technically what Chase and Stacy are.
Yeah.
In like, this fic. Yeah. Anyway, they would wear, like, those, like, leather or, like, woven, like, skull caps. Have you ever seen those? Yeah. And I guess it's just because, like, man, it gets hot outside. Or something. Man, it rains sometimes.
I don't remember what it looks. Oh, just like one of these.
Yeah, it's basically just, like, a cloth on your head. I didn't know they still made modern versions of those. The more you know.
The more you know. Oh, yeah, like something like this.
Yeah.
I thought this was a Jesus jump scare for a second. Like, Jesus? Jesus Christ and my medieval? Anyway.
Nah. The religions in this world are real. Not that Christianity isn't, but like, in all likelihood.
There's some theories.
At the very least, we know Jesus was a historical figure as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is not the case in this world. The gods are real. The gods talk to the people.
The gods are gods. I have something in my throat for a second. Okay.
Chase is Jesus in this world.
He is chosen. He is chosen.
Spoilers, man. Don't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
It was old, and almost nobody else in town had one like it, but he kept it just because it had a handy brim for blocking the sun. It was also good for cold days like these, when he hadn't grabbed his jacket because he had mistaken it to be warm today, as it was yesterday. Felt I'd been there. The sun passed overhead. Chase stopped around midday to have lunch, a lunch of bread and jerky, then moved on. He stopped by his usual snares, but found that nothing had stumbled into them. Not even a few squirrels like the day before. Growing frustrated, and more than a little desperate, he wandered farther into the forest, but still found nothing. This was bad. Sure, they had a stockpile of preserved meat and jerky from his hunts during the summer, but that would run out eventually. And what if Clinton got sick and needed something more hearty than dried, stringy meat? What would they do then? It was starting to get late when he saw it, just a flicker of movement out of the corner of his eye. Chase stiffened and slowly turned. There, right in between two trees, fully in view of him, was a deer. Its coat was dark brown, almost black, and it was grazing peacefully, not paying him in the least bit of attention. It had been a few weeks since he'd seen a deer. That was a bit unusual, really, but it didn't matter anymore. There was one here now. Slowly, he drew his bow. The deer raised its head and started to walk away. Carefully, Chase followed it. He stepped carefully, making sure there were no twigs or crunchy leaves before putting his foot down. After a while, the deer stopped again, grazing for a bit. Chase made sure he was in a good position, then raised his bow and reached towards the quiver on his hip. Then the deer started walking away again. Chase followed it. For longer than he probably should have. The shadows grew more slanted, then started to take over, but he kept following the deer. Every time he got into a good position to shoot and started to grab an arrow, it moved on. After a while, it felt like a game of chase. He almost laughed when the thought occurred to him, but stopped just in time to catch the sound. It was well into dusk when the deer wandered into a circular clearing. Chase stopped, still hidden by the trees, and gritted his teeth to stop them from chattering. Once the sun went behind the mountains and on him, the temperature dropped rapidly. It wouldn't be long now. He had to get this deer. They needed it. And now it was just standing there, ears twitching. Chase raised the bow again, and this time, when he reached for an arrow, he pulled it out and slowly nocked it, steadying his stance to take aim. And then, no. But then, no, something was different. The deer's antlers. Had they gotten bigger? More curvy? Chase paused, puzzled, then took a closer look. The antlers were glinting. He was sure they were ordinary bone before, but now they looked almost golden. Gasping, Chase instantly let go of his bow and arrow. They landed in the undergrowth with soft thumps. The deer's ears stopped twitching. Instead of running away, it turned around, and it looked at him. And there was something different about its dark, dark eyes. Different from other deer's eyes, from other animal eyes that Chase had ever seen before. He slowly raised his hands. I didn't know. The deer looked away from him, turning to the side, staring off into the distance. Then it broke into a run in the opposite direction, hooves making no sound on the forest floor. For a long, long while, Chase just stood there, shivering, breath plumping into the air. Plumbing into the air.
Pluming.
Pluming,
Yeah.
plum, plum, plum.
Like
Like a plume of smoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, look at the little bear!
The bell.
The way that you're drawing
like
it reminds me of, Brown Bear, what do you see? The children's book.
I see all.
I see all. He's so cute. All of these are cute. I like them.
Yeah. They all have something in common. Can you guess what it is?
Gee, I don't know.
This is for us.
Yeah. For a long
No
long...
one is going to get this.
That's true. I'm not even sure you introduced all the elders in the story.
No, this is all external world building.
Well, eventually we'll release those other two stories.
Eventually.
We have to wait for Fantasy Mess to finish. I am
Technically,
excited.
we could release Modern Fantasy now, technically.
Oh yeah.
Because that takes place in a different world.
True. Maybe I'll work on because I think Modern Fantasy was before Inverted Subversion. So it would make sense.
No, I think it was after.
Was it? Okay, well then I'm gonna do Inverted Subversion first.
Yeah. Because, like, I think I really wanted to get that, that story locked down, you know, and finished. We had a couple dangling threads from the end of the multiverse crossovers.
Yeah. I do like that one a lot. I remember I got really pulled into editing it, like, a couple weeks ago. So much so that I didn't sleep because I was, like, on the part with Chase, fighting all the robots. Very minor spoilers for our next multiverse fic. Anyway. For a long, long while, Chase just stood there, shivering, breath pluming into the air. Had that really happened? Or had he just imagined it because he had been out in the cold for so long? After some time, he bent over and picked up his bow and the arrow he dropped, putting them away. Well, it was also dark. He could have just... He could have just been just seeing things in the moonlight. And speaking of moonlight, he should really be heading home by now. He was late. Now, which way was it? He'd wandered a long way towards following that deer. The music stopped.
Oh, no.
We need more good ambient noise, because that was, like, really good. I mean, it's volume 2, so hopefully it's a little different. Oh yeah, this is perfect. Kinda creepy. He'd wandered a long way following that deer. Not feeling well today, sorry. Maybe cutting my watch time a bit short, sorry. Don't need to apologize. It's okay. I'll probably be posting this on, YouTube soon. I need to go post our last VOD that we did of reading. I haven't edited that one yet. But then I'll post this one, so you can always listen to it later. It's all good.
Yeah. No problem. We're just happy you were here.
Yeah, hope you feel better soon, Vio. Thanks for coming. I put on more chapstick. Okay. He wandered a long way following that deer. It was dark, and he wasn't familiar with this part of the forest as he was with the areas closer to home. So by the time he had found his way back, it was definitely night, no longer twilight. Stacey and the kids must be so worried. Chase picks up the pace. Wait, if it was night, then why was there an orange glow in the distance? It was well past sunset. Chase squinted, and in a split second he realized a few things. First, the glow was coming from the direction of Hilltown. Second, even if it was sunset, the forest was west of town, and therefore the town would be in between him and the sunset. Third, he was getting closer to the glow. Closer in a way that didn't happen with the setting sun. His heart froze, and he burst into a flat run, easily clearing the edge of the forest. The village was on fire. Chase just stood and gaped for a moment, feeling the heat from here. The wooden buildings that ran up the sloping ground were all ablaze. He could see dark shapes in the streets, and the figures of people running around, with horses? A lot of horses. There were only about 4 in the whole town, but this was definitely more than that. Snapping out of his daze, he ran, but in his haste, lost footing on the even uneven ground and fell, tumbling head over heels for a bit before he managed to stop himself. Ow, he groaned, lifting himself up and coming face to face with the flames. Quickly, he threw himself backwards, scrambling to a safe distance. Now that he was a bit closer, he could definitely make out what was happening. The dark shapes on the ground between the burning buildings were bodies. He couldn't recognize anyone, but then again, he couldn't bring himself to look for any longer than necessary. And there were strangers wandering around, some on foot, some on horses. But were all wearing chain metal armor underneath dark tunics. Chase stared at them, wide-eyed. The strangers were shouting. To each other? To their horses? Did anyone left? It was hard to tell. But they hadn't noticed Chase. Quickly getting to his feet, he started running around the edge of town. He had to get home. At this time of night, Stacia would be there. Quentin and Annabelle would be there. Were they okay? They had to be okay. He didn't know what he would do if he wouldn't forget himself if he was away and missed being able to help them. Going around town was a lot slower than going through it. But everything was on fire. Even the stone buildings. How was that possible? If the stone buildings were on fire, their cottage could... He pushed himself to run faster. He couldn't avoid it anymore. He had to run into town to get home. But the smoke... Even from here, his eyes were watering. So he took off his hat and pressed it to his face, filtering it before he could breathe in.
Man, horses are weird
Before
to
you
draw.
breathe it in. Yeah, horses are weird. And he plunged into the raging flames. Even staying in the center of the path, the heat was almost unbearable. But Stacia, Quentin, Annabelle, the cottage, their home, it was also on fire. The old curtains were ash, the vegetable garden was a raging inferno. Stacia! She shouted, Stacy! Quentin! Annabelle! Stacy! Gwen! Amy! Where are you? Water. I got embarrassed by shouting for a second.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It was good shouting.
Voices. Chase turned and... Because Winnie is not in my door anymore, so I was shouting to empty room into the hallway. There we go. I know the second I close my door, she's gonna be like, I sense a disturbance in the force, and burst it down. Because I swear that always happens every time. I'm like, I think I want a little bit of privacy. But I don't shut my door all the way. She's like,
Forget a Big Bird meme. Have you seen that?
yeah, it's Winnie with her big old snoot. Voices. Chase turned and saw some of those strangers nearby, one on a horse. And he hadn't noticed this before, but there was a symbol on the back of their dark tunics. A shield, black and blue striped, with a green circle in the center. A black dot in the center of that. The symbol was... It was a symbol for the kingdom of Glasul. Chase had never seen it in person, but everyone grew up learning of that insignia. And they also learned that, while local militia may wear a simplified green ring on their clothes, only soldiers working directly for the royal family were allowed to wear the full crest. Chase recalled this fact dimly, but it didn't really register. One of the strangers, the soldiers, started to turn around, and gasping, coughing a bit, Chase turned and ran right back out of town, never stopping until he was well clear of the last few houses, out into the potato fields. Out on the potato fields. In the distance, he saw the house of Aiden and Rose, the farm owners. It was also on fire. What was he supposed to do now? Stacy and the kids, were they? No, they couldn't be. The forest. He told the kids to run to the forest if there was any danger in town. And sure, Stacy was concerned about the rebels in the forest and those strange masked figures, but in the face of this, maybe she would do the same. Well, it was all he could think of. The only straw he could grasp. Stumbling, Chase turned around and ran back the way he came. The trees enveloped him in a strange sense of calm, a world removed from the blazing horrors of the burning town. He stumbled for a moment, tripping over some bush, then ran faster. "Stacia! Quentin! Ambell!" he yelled. Even with the distant light from the raging, flaming ruins of the village, the trees blocked out most of the light, leaving him in shadows. His eyes darted around for any movement. "Where are you? Can you hear me?" Abandoning all his hunter instincts telling him to stay quiet, he ran through the woods, staggering over brush and rocks that he couldn't see in the darkness. "Can you hear me? Answer me! Stacy! Gwen! Amy!" Chase's cries pierced through the silence. There's no sign of them. Maybe they'd gone farther. Thinking that, he plunged deeper into the trees. Things quickly became unfamiliar. Whether it was because of the distance or because of the darkness, he couldn't say. But the strangeness only spurred him on. What if his family was lost out there, alone in the woods? He taught the kids something about foraging for food, but not enough. Not in this situation. And Stacy was a farmer, not a hunter or a forester. Maybe he had to find them. He had to. Chase noticed the lack of ground beneath his foot a split second after stepping forward. Then he fell. Luckily it wasn't off a cliff, but he did land with a loud splash as he fell into some shallow water. Pebbles and rocks bit into his arms as he extended them out to brace for impact. He sat up, sputtering, now completely soaked. What was this, a stream? A pond? He couldn't quite see in the dark, but he did know one thing. There were no stream or ponds near the town, and certainly not in the parts of forest he knew. Securing his hat, he stood up. His bow and quiver knocked against his side, and he then realized that the fall had caused most of his arrows to fall out. Well, that wouldn't be good in the future. But he couldn't see where they had fallen into the water, and there was no time. He pushed onward. The trees were close together, heavy branches blocking out the sun. The sun? Wasn't it dark?
Shit.
Blocking out the moon.
Blocking out... Well, I think I meant to say blocking out the sky.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Blocking out the sky. I notice that, like, all the time. When I'm reading my stuff.
There was one time I remember, like, I don't usually edit things after I post them. Because I'm like, whatever, it's out there.
Yeah.
But there was one time, I don't remember what it was, but I was like, I have to fix this immediately.
Oh, I'm always editing stuff. Like, there was, I swear there was something I went to go reread for one of our multiverse fics. I think I was rereading the Septic Hero stuff, and there was, like, a big, like, a typo and, like, a lot of, like, misformatting, and I'm just like, okay, well, you know, I swear I've edited the kidnapping story for Alt, like, multiple times, because there was, like, a point in time where I changed it to him being misgendered and them using their regular name, because it made more sense. He wasn't transitioned yet. And I'm pretty sure I've changed, like, this one line in the one where Alt accidentally overdosed on ecstasy. There's a place where he's just like, you're not Mom Chase, and then I changed it to, you're not our Aunt Chase, and then changed it back to Mum, because Alt calls one of their aunts Mum, so. That's just an example of how many times I edit something. I'll edit it to an ad findom, because I can. Okay, where was I? The trees were close together, heavy branches blocking out the sky. Chase kept his arms out in front of him to make sure he didn't run into a trunk. If he couldn't even see the trees, he definitely wouldn't be able to see a person. And they won't be able to see him. Stacia! Kids! Are you out here? He gritted his teeth to stop them from chattering. It was cold before, and now it was later. And he was wet, making it positively freezing. Stacy! Kids! Are you here? But he kept going. The rush of emotion was starting to fade. He was getting tired. Maybe if he took a rest. No! What would what could be happening to them while he rested? And besides, he'd be easy prey for any predator out there if he slept. He staggered forward. The forest was practically pitch black, but he kept shouting, his voice growing hoarse and hoping to hear a reply. The underbrush must be thicker here, because he kept tripping up. He fell down twice, but pulled himself to his feet and went onward. His hands were shaking, shivering. Stacia? Quentin? And Bill? He mumbled. It was hard to keep his eyes open. Where was he? Shouldn't he have found some town by now? No, the forest went on for acres. He knew this. How could he forget? Please, say where... That was fun.
Glad you're enjoying yourself.
Womp, 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 womp.
Womp, 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 womp.
Chase womp, chase womp.
Chase womp, chase womp.
Anyway, he couldn't stop now. He needed to find them. Couldn't leave them on their own. He kept pressing onward. It was getting so hard. He had to use the trees for support sometimes. Stop to take a break. But not to give up. Can't give up. Stay please. And once again, he stepped somewhere without support. But now he couldn't even register it. He just knew he was falling, rolling down a hill, coming to a stop where he hit something. A tree? Those felt like roots beneath him. His arms moved a bit, trying to grab something to pull himself up. Fingers drifted across a bark-covered surface, but couldn't grab. So his arms fell back down. Maybe he should just rest for a few minutes. But after just a few seconds of staying still, he heard a strange rustling sound. Raising his head weakly, he saw a strange sight indeed. People. No, not quite people. Human bodies dressed in dark clothes, with white feathered bird faces where heads should be. 4 or 5 of them. Wait. No, not bird heads. Bird masks. Masks made of some sort of white material. Hadn't he heard something about masks recently? The masked figures drew closer. Chase stared up at them. He was so tired. He wouldn't be able to run even if he had managed to get through. One of them knelt down next to him, pulling off a glove. They pressed a pair of fingers to his neck, and he shivered. He wasn't cold anymore. Or he was, but this bird person's hands were colder. They stood up again and turned to the others. He heard the sound of voices, but his head couldn't process the words. What were they? Were they here to help? Or... He was too tired to think about it. He let his head fall back to the forest floor. The last thing Chase felt before losing consciousness was the sudden lift of someone picking him up. End of chapter 1.
Everyone look at my horse. I'm so proud of my horse.
Your horse looks amazing!
I looked at a reference picture, but
still,
I'm pretty proud of how I
really
replicated
good.
it, yeah. Yippee!
Ain't a good horse. Ain't a bear, and a fish, and a bunny, and crows, ravens.
They're just kind of like vaguely blackbirds.
Snake, salamander. Clapping.
Yay! Thank you.
Oh, the
thank
mouses. And the bee,
Mouse,
and the
mouse
spider.
a dormouse.
Yeah. And a swift. Or eagle. Depends.
It's a swift, but like it's weirdly colored, so you can't really tell.
Yeah.
Swifts are usually brown.
This swift is special.
Yeah. Technically speaking, they should all be like unusually colored, but I kind of gave up after the salamander.
Hey, you can always change the colors later.
Yeah.
Alright. Back to chapter 2.
Chapter 2, continue!
Chapter 2, Phantoms. Waking up in a strange place, strange minds, meeting new people, and understanding just a bit more about what's going on in the kingdom.
Side note, we have because we have a friend named Phantom, every single time I write it down, I'm like, our friend.
Yeah, you write down Phantom a lot.
Yeah.
I think you started writing Phantom after you met Phantom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So always the association. It's different for me because when I was writing Phantom Nate stuff, I knew Phantom Nate before I knew Phantom.
Dapper Phantom.
Chase woke up slowly, over the course of what had to be a few minutes. First, he was aware of weight, something pressing down on him. It was warm, and that felt really, really good, because there was a coldness in his core that he couldn't quite shake, sending chills across his skin. After the weight, sound came trickling in. There wasn't much of it, just some strange scratching noises, and occasionally footsteps which echoed. It was only after registering the echo that the thoughts started to form. Where was he? How'd he get here? Last he remembered, he was in the forest? It was dark. Was it nighttime? Chase found it hard to recall. He finally opened his eyes. It was difficult. They felt weighted down. But he did it. Once his eyes were open, he saw stone. Rough, natural stone. Not stone bricks. The light was strong, but flickering, and completely unfamiliar. Turning his head to the side was an effort, but he managed. He was on a bed, he recognized that much, with a few layers of blankets, including one made of fur on top. Again, completely unfamiliar. As was the rough stone room he found himself in. Some sort of cave? But then why was there a bed in a cave? No, scratch that. There was a whole row of beds. He could just see them extending into the side, along with a couple rickety wooden chairs, and currently sitting down in one of those chairs was a woman with a bird face. What? Chase tried to sit up, but the blankets were too heavy, and his body felt weak, so he gave up easily. Water.
Water.
The bird-faced woman looked up and no, it was a mask, of course, with a long, curved beak that couldn't be practical. The woman gasped and put down the items she was holding, a sack of parchment and a long white feather, quill, down on the nearest bed. You're awake. How do you feel? She asked, standing up and hurrying over. Her voice it sounded different, in a way he couldn't quite put his finger on. How did he feel? The simple question took question of full, question? Chase's name is now Question.
I don't know why that's funny. That was so funny to me.
That's pretty funny to me too. Like, what? The simple question took Chase a full 30 seconds to answer. Tired. That's to be expected, the woman said. When you catch the shivering like you did. The shivering? Chase groaned as he suddenly remembered the events of last night. Running through the forest, tripping and falling in the water, and continuing to walk until he couldn't. How stupid. He knew about the shivering. How it could kill a man who stayed out in the cold for too long. Why did he keep going?
That's hypothermia, by the way.
Yeah.
Hypothermia.
Did I ever tell you about how one of the first instances of me finding out about Wump was I watched like a thing in 7th grade where like we were learning about hypothermia in science class, and there was like this like drama we were watching. I don't remember what it was, but I remember that a boy fell in and got hypothermia, and I really liked the boy from the show that we were watching, and like I was fascinated by what was happening. I was like, oh, he's shivering and he's sick. Why is that so interesting to me? I remember I was so fascinated. And, like, started to put it into roleplays and stuff. Like, I was hooked. And that was a awakening moment for Baby Huffle. She was like, this is so interesting. It's good storytelling.
It was Nancy Drew for me. The Nancy Drew stories have, like, there's actually a surprising amount of her getting kidnapped.
I
People
heard
planning
that,
to kidnap her. Yeah.
I always want to play a
Anyway.
Nancy Drew game.
I read the books, like I
I feel like I
said.
played one. Anyway, how stupid. He knew about the shivering. How he could kill a man who stayed out out in the cold for too long. Why he kept going? Actually, why had he been out in the forest that late? It felt important. But those memories still eluded him. Don't worry, you're going to be all right, the woman reassured him. We found you just in time. You wandered pretty close to this camp. She gave a small smile. Though the mask only covered the upper half of her face, the beak still hid most of the smile. What's your name? Chase mumbled. His eyelids were... Chase mumbled.
But
His eyelids were really, really heavy. Maybe if you just close them for a moment. Chess? Oh, no, wait, don't fall asleep. Too late. The moment his eyes closed, he drifted off. He kept drifting for some time, bobbing on the sea of sleep, occasionally cresting a wave and catching a brief glimpse of the strange cave room again, before falling back asleep. He didn't regain true awareness until he heard voices, and then he opened his eyes and turned his head towards them. This time, he rolled over to the other side of the bed. He could see the row of bears. Bears?
Did I write bears?
No, I guess just flickered my eye towards the bear. And I was like, bears?
Bears?
Turning into my little brother. For those who don't know, my brother has a stim where he just yells out stuff about bears. They're his favorite animal.
Hell yeah. Honestly, bears are a good favorite animal.
He's been getting better about it, but I remember, like, sometimes, like, Saturday mornings, I'd wake up to him just yelling, bears! Just randomly. Anyway, he could see the row of beds continuing, then ending at a large, dangling sheet of canvas. Like, for a ship sail? Was he on a boat? No, silly him. A cave wouldn't be on a boat. Maybe it was just blocking off the entrance. He also saw lanterns this time around, dangling from the distant rock ceiling on chains. There were a lot of them, actually, providing a bright light, bright enough to see the two people talking to each other nearby. Chase concentrated, and soon the words started to make sense. It's dangerous. The voice was coming from a man with a fox face. No, wait, again, it was a mask. The man who was also wearing leather armor over on his chest and arms. His hands were on his hips, and he was staring down the other figure he was talking to. Oh really? He was already deep into the shivering by the time they found him, the other voice said. Also a man, if Chase had to guess. He couldn't quite tell, because this figure had his back to him. All he could see was a red cloak down to the figure's waist with the hood pulled up. That could have been a mistake, the fox man said slowly. After all, he was wet. If he tripped and fell out in the middle of the dragon's great woods, there wouldn't have been time to retreat to shelter, so he continued on his mission. Mission? The cloak figure laughed. Yeah, the king sent a man without a jacket or cloak, only armed with a short bow and 5 arrows to find his current greatest threat's lair. That makes perfect sense. The man folded his arms. He could be a scout. There could be a great force coming. Look, Lucas, I admire your vigilance, the figure said, but there are just too many holes. If he's a scout, why doesn't he have an insignia anywhere? And I know you're gonna say he had to have nothing in case he was caught, or that he could have been sent to infiltrate, but in that case, he should have had better gear. A dagger or a knife, at least. The man started to talk again, but the figure kept going. And also, even if he is part of the king's forces, shouldn't we be keeping him around to ask questions? Instead of just throwing him out in the cold with the shivering like you're suggesting? Not with the shivering. That doesn't make your idea much better, the figure snaps. And surprisingly, despite being at least a head taller, the man with the fox mask shrinks back. Like I said, I appreciate your vigilance. The figure continued in a softer tone. Right now? Does that man look dangerous? The figure turned around and gestured to Chase and stopped. Wait a moment. I think he's awake. The fox man gasped and backed away. Chase tried to say something or nod or do anything, but the depths of dreamland were calling him back. He closed his eyes once more. I just imagine Jackie and Lucas just watching his eyes close, and Jackie's just like, nope. Oh, there he goes. Okay, never mind. What as you were saying?
Honestly, like, they probably would just continue on.
Yeah. Nope.
Lucas is stubborn.
False alarm. The third time Chase woke up, it was for good. He opened his eyes and he found he didn't have the urge to close them again. When he turned his head, it was easier, and his mind was clear, able to take the strange cave in more detail, like the fact that it was large enough to put 3 cottages inside, still have room to walk in between, or that the opposite end of the canvas was actually a pile of rocks, like there was a cave in, but with a few stone bricks in the gaps, as if people came along and tried to reinforce the rocks into the solid wall. He was really, really warm. Not hot, just warm enough to be noticeable. So he tried to sit up. It was harder than expected, both because of the weakness that lingered in his limbs and because the layered blankets were surprisingly heavy, but he managed to get upright. You're awake again! Chase let out a startled cry, then turned around to see a woman in the burn mask from before. She was standing near a rock brick wall, a wooden chest open at her feet, which she quickly closed. Now, Chase took in more about her. The long, curved beak was still impractical, and Chase couldn't recognize the type of bird the mask was molded after. She wore a white apron over a tunic and a pair of trousers. Her black hair was pulled back in tight braids, and she had darker skin than anyone Chase had ever known. She hurried over. Lay down, and keep the blankets on. It's a little hot, actually, Chase mumbled in explanation. The woman hummed and leaned over and pressed her hand against Chase's forehead. The touch was cold. Well, I suppose your temperature is closer to normal, she said, leaning back. But don't get up yet. How do you feel, Chess?
Behold the consequences of your sickness.
Well, my name is Chase, actually, he corrected. But anyway, I feel still a little tired, but I'm not sleepy. Just kind of weak, I guess. Well, that's good, the woman said cheerfully. One moment, do you mind holding this? She reached into a pocket in her apron and took out a smooth round stone the size of a fist. Sure? Chase took the stone. For a moment, his hand dropped with the weight, but he kept it aloft. The woman hummed again, watching his arm as his muscles trembled slightly. I suppose that's not enough to worry. She took the stone back. Thank you, I guess? Chase said. He glanced once more into the large cave, or actually a cavern. Now, if you don't mind, where am I? And who are you? And how did I get here? Well, that's hard to say, the woman said. Water.
Wawa.
Wawa. Reading dries out your throat really fast.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well, that's hard to say, the woman said. It was then that Chase realized why her voice sounded different. She had an accent, one he couldn't identify. I'm not sure if I should tell you that yet, but you are safe. You are in a place full of good people, and you are currently in our infirmary. In a cave? Chase blurted out. Owen laughed. Oh, believe me, they argued about where to put it for so long. They still do, actually, but we keep it clean. As far as how you got here, you wandered right up to the edge of our place. There was a whole group out nearby talking to each other and spending time, and they saw you in the distance. So they picked you up and took you here. And for your question in the middle, you can call me Ibis. Ibis, Chase repeated. Is that a type of bird? Yes, it is, Ibis beamed and adjusted her white bird mask. They live near rivers in warmer climates. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen them before, Chase said slowly. You're not the only one. Ibis reassured him.
Ibis.
It is cold in these mountains, but I have to ask you something. I hope you don't mind. It is... what were you doing so far in the woods so late at night? I go out into the forest to hunt, Chase said. Every day, usually, except in the winter. Unless it's really necessary. Really? Interesting, Ibis said. She brushed some dirt off her apron. Well, Chase, you are recovering from the shivering nicely. But I hope you don't mind if I have someone else take a look at you. Not today. Tomorrow at the earliest. Oh, alright. Chase said with a bit confused. And when are you going to tell me where I am? And who this group is? And why are all you wearing masks? Chase, I would really like to answer your questions, but I don't know what we've decided, Ibis said honestly. So, keeping a secret is important, huh? I suppose you could say so. Now, if you don't mind, Ibis rocked around the bed, I'm going to get you some water. You must be very thirsty. He hadn't actually noticed it, given the more pressing concerns of the situation, but the minute she mentioned it, Chase realized how dry his mouth was. I am, thank you. I'll be right back, Ibis assured him, then headed towards the canvas. She pushed through a flap in the middle, none unlike that of a tent, and disappeared. Chase stared after her for a moment, then slumped back against the pillows and stared at the ceiling, wondering, who were these people? What did they want? And what was going to happen to him? And we're going to take a break to do a quick ad.
Yay!
I managed to time that, like, perfectly. Because we were just about to...
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were just about to start the ad for me, and I'm like, now, let me do a 3-minute one, because then we'll get an hour. Which means I should go to the bathroom and go put my food away real fast. Ooh. I'll be right back. Listen to the ambiance and watch Crystal's very good drawing. Goodbye!
Yeah, this is Butterfly. I think part of me was a butterfly kid, if that makes sense. I had a phase where I really liked bugs, which Huffle will be horrified to hear about because Huffle hates bugs. But it's true. I think it's because I had a teacher when I was little who really encouraged, like, she liked bugs, and she's like, bugs are cool, you all should like bugs too. So we did. Bugs are pretty cool, I guess. They're not, like, my favorite. And, like, some of them are really freaky. But, like, they're important for the ecosystem. The difference between a butterfly and a moth, by the way, is in the shape of the wings, I believe, and also the antenna. I think that's primarily the difference is. Don't quote me on that. One time my mom accidentally swallowed a moth. I think I've told the story on stream, but in case I haven't. So basically, my mom was, like, walking up a hill with her mouth open, and it was night, and just, like, yeah, it right in her mouth. And ever since then, we haven't liked moths in our household. Fun crystal lore for you, who sit through the ads. Moths have fuzzy antennae. That's one of the differences. I also remembered another difference. It's the shape of the wings, and that their bodies are fatter and smaller. Anyway, yeah. Butterfly and moth. Fly, fly, butterfly, butterfly, go, go. What is that? It's an electro swing song. I don't remember who did it. Who sang it. Man, why are all animals so brown? I have to choose so many different shades of brown. How exciting.
Okay, I'm back. I had to get Winnie.
Welcome. Yippee.
Oh, and you want to say hi? Want to say hi, pretty girl? Yeah. Oh my goodness, look at that face. You say hi? Say, I love Very Best. Yeah? I like. Good girl. There you go. Wow. I just knocked so many things over. God damn it.
No!
Luckily nothing in water, but I already knocked that over like yesterday. And then I knocked it over again. I clean up my desk. When he's looking at me like I'm an idiot.
No!
Don't judge me, wins. It's because I'm putting your bones away.
That sounds so ominous if you don't know that if you weren't talking to a dog. That sounds so ominous.
She had little peanut butter bones.
Nah.
Oh, babies. You want another one? Oh.
Why do dogs like peanut butter so much?
Oh, peanut butter is delicious.
I mean, it is, but like, I always hear about dogs liking peanut butter, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if cats like peanut butter.
No, cats don't like peanut butter.
Mm.
Cats are like, dogs are carnivores, cats are hyper carnivores.
Oh, true.
They like bread, though. And Apollo likes tomatoes.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Hey, a beaver!
How does one... Okay, good, you recognized it!
just like, just like Kieran wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me, I need to take off my boots. The hood and my feetsies. It's been raining a lot lately, so I'm wearing my socks. But they... Yeah, look.
It actually snowed earlier today.
That's...
Which, like, it's April.
It's gonna rain, like, all day tomorrow. I'm like, I'm gonna be trapped at work. That's fine. Probably means I'll read a fic or draw. I work on my bunny painting. Okay, focusing. True to her word. Legal dude.
Thank you.
True to her word, Ibis reappeared the next day with someone in tow. Chase heard the sound of the canvas flap open from the bed where he was laying, and rolled over to see her and another man walking in. They took a slight detour to the side, where they both put on a white apron, then headed over. "Hello again, Chase," Ibis said cheerfully. "This is Owl." The other man nodded. "Hello." As the name would have indicated, his white mask was shaped like an owl, though. Chase noticed that his mask was more decorated. Ibis's mask had a symbol in the center of the forehead drawn in black, a vertical line with two others twisting around it. The man's owl mask had that too, but it also had colorful details along the feathers, and a pattern of pale blue diamonds along the cheeks. I forgot that in his drawing, but I need to sit down and do proper drawings of all the boys now, because I did that like really fast when we were role-playing.
I mean, that's so fair.
along the feathers. Underneath the apron, the man wore a blue scarf and a white tunic with buckles in the front. He also had a belt with several pouches hanging off it. Brown hair from the owl mask, cut short, and blue eyes looked at Chase through the wide eye holes. "Hello," Chase said politely. "How are you doing?" "Oh, I am well." Owl sounded a bit surprised by the question, which confused Chase. People always said that when greeting each other. "But more important, how are you?" he continued, sitting down in a chair next to the bed. "I'm tired. Yes, tired of saying that. The fatigue is expected. How are your thoughts? Is your head clear, or is it more foggy?" Wait a moment. Owl also had an accent, but it was different from Ibis. While hers was a smooth, mellowing out the vowels. His was sharp, especially on the S's and T's. And it sounded strangely familiar, which really stood out in the contrast to all the strange new things Chase had been going through. "No, it's pretty clear," Chase said slowly, silently racking his memories. Where had he heard that accent? And before you ask, I'm not cold, and I'm not that warm either. At least, not on my own. The blankets, though, they're making me warm. My eyes are like itchy.
Yeah.
Gumshoe?
Yeah, it's me. I've stopped by for the fic reading night.
Winnie, why are you licking my bed? You ate all the peanut butter. There's none on my bed. Don't wag your tail at me. Don't be adorable. I'm trying to read. Don't you want to listen to a story? No, she was pets. You don't understand a word I'm saying, do you? There's nothing in between those eyes. It's just hot air. Hot air and love. And hunger, usually. Where are you going? There she goes. Okay. That is what they are made for, yes, Ella nodded. Ibis says your temperature is not too bad, so if you would like, we can take away some of them. I'm trying to do an accent for him, but I've sworn not to do an accent for him.
It's so okay. You can just do whatever you want. They just, as long as they know an accent exists.
Yeah. I don't want to try to do a German accent. It'll be bad for everyone. I could do an English accent, and that is it. And my English accent isn't even that good.
It's alright.
Very fake.
Like, yeah, you can tell it's fake, but it's alright.
I'm American. I can't do a lot of accents except for Texan. Even that's not good. I speak
Does
words.
this look like a bird?
Yeah, it looks like a bird. Is it a robin?
Yeah, okay. It's a chaffinch, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Chaffinch.
Chaffinchy. Oh my god, that was for us. No one is here. It was just us.
That's not true. I'm sure there's people listening.
VOD watchers, where you at?
VOD watchers,
You're in the
if you
VOD.
watch this far, type in Chaffinch into the comments. That way we know you were here. Do it to be entered into a giveaway of 500 Streambuds bucks.
I don't think those exist.
They don't. I'm like, what can I offer? Like, actually, I was like, I have $3. I'm not giving a random YouTuber some money. I just see in the comments someone demanding, Finch, give me $3. Anyway.
No. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, my freaking my freaking headphones caught in with the like no battery, please recharge headset warning. Right in the middle of you talking. That was so inconvenient.
And rude. What the fuck?
How dare you?
How dare
How dare my headphones run out of battery?
How dare they? Ooh, see me. And Wendy's pouting at the door. She didn't want to sleep with me, but she's going over to my sister's tomorrow, so I was like, I want the dog piece before I go work a 7-hour shift and I don't get to come home to my dog. Did you work kind of all morning? Mickelson.
Thank you.
That's what they are made for, yes. Owl nodded. Ibis says your temperature is not too bad. So if you'd like, we can take away some of them. That would be good, thank you. And, slightly related question. Where are my clothes? Chase gestured to the shirt he was wearing. It wasn't his.
Out of context, that sounded so... Oh my god.
Where are my clothes? No.
They didn't... They gave him clothes. But his
naked under the... I remember that from learning about hypothermia. I think that dry clothes help a lot, but if you can't get them get them into new clothes, being naked under blankets is good as long as they're dry.
They had clothes. They had clothes.
Yeah,
they put him in clothes.
He's wearing clothes. It says right here. Believe me, I swear.
Oh my god.
Chase gestured to the shirt he was wearing. It wasn't his. This one was thick and woven. It hadn't seemed important yesterday, but might as well ask now. And all the rest of my things, too. Ah, sorry about that. They were wet, so we had to change you out of them. They would have just made you cooler. We have your things nearby. You can go get them later. Owl explained. Once we are sure you are not with the shivering anymore. That way of talking was so familiar, it was distracting. Where would he have heard it before? Chase fell silent for a moment as he thought of that. Maybe in another similar environment? When he was sick? Well, he didn't really get sick that often. But maybe when someone else was sick, like... I'll pause, waiting for Chase to say something else. Are you okay? The memory hit Chase like a flash, making him gasp out loud. Henrik? Owl looked shocked for a moment. Then he glanced at Ibis, who had an identical expression under her mask, and quickly turned the shock into confusion. I am sorry? That's you, isn't it? Henrik, I don't remember your surname, but you had one. I thought that was strange. You're a traveling doctor. You were in town last summer. I don't know what you mean, Owl said slowly. You might be mistaking me for someone else. No, I couldn't be mistaking you, Chase insisted. It was embarrassing that I didn't remember you until now, really. Maybe I am still foggy from the shivering. My son, Quentin, he caught a fever. We were worried about him making it, but Michael told me there was a traveling doctor staying at his house. Maybe you remember him. He's a woodcutter? But I ran over and explained everything to you, and you came back with me straight away to see Quentin. You gave him some medicine, and you probably saved his life. Chase was quiet. I'd never forget that. Owl looked like he wanted to deny it first, but the longer Chase talked, the more recognition sparked in his eyes. Actually, you looked in a mountain village last summer? A little boy with a fever. Did he have dark, curly hair? And a quiet sister? Yes! That's Quentin! And my daughter, Annabelle, too! Chase nodded fast enough to make his head dizzy. That was you, right? A slight pause. Well, I suppose if you already guessed, there's no point in saying no. The man reached up and took off his owl mask, revealing his full face for the first time. And now there was no mistaking it. It is you! Chase smiled wide. Oh, elders, I'd never thanked you enough. We would have... Quentin's only 8, you know, but he's had trouble all his life, and that you agreed on such a short notice. I have disease.
Huffle is sick. It's contagious.
I have allergies. I'm getting to shivering.
No. That's not... honestly, that's not good to have in, like, this era of time.
Oh, no.
You know?
People died.
People died.
People died from lots of things, though.
Yeah.
It's easy to do back then. To die.
How do legs work?
Sorry, just the juxtaposition of me with the easy to die back then. It was easy to die. How do legs work?
How does it work? Look at this. Look at this.
Here, I could probably help. So for animal legs,
it's like a.
I need to. I've never drawn on my.
The problem is that like it's at like a bit. This thing is at like bit of an angle.
When you're drawing an animal leg.
Here, he's on a rock. That's why.
You want something a little like that. It's like a chicken leg.
I see. Like a chicken leg.
That's how I always remember it. It's like there's that, and then like the bone, and then you have like a little sticky outy part, and then a foot.
Yeah. Okay. Does that look good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need my
wolf,
random.
By the way,
we don't need my random animal foot.
Not all animal legs are like that. Like, for example, like horses. That's one of the reasons why horses are so complicated to draw, because their legs are different.
Also, bears. They don't have digigrade feet like that. Which I remember I was very disappointed about for Cyrus.
They're plantigrade.
Digigrade feet are just so cool.
They really are. They're so cool.
Alright, You think I would say no to something so urgent? Henrik scoffed, though it didn't come across as harsh, more like a habit. His voice is actually quite soft as he continued. And for a child as well. A lot of traveling doctors charge a lot. They are selfish. Who would charge for a child? Henrik shook his head. But you recognize me. I am surprised. I have not done any traveling in nearly a year. It was the accent, Chase explained. I think I remembered you explaining why you have it. You're from, Alterday. Did I say it right?
Alterday.
Alterday. I almost got it.
Yeah.
Alterday. Henrik finished. It is across the sea, to the east of here. Right. Chase glanced at Ibis, who was standing to the side where they talked, bouncing on her feet and waiting for them to finish. Are you two from the same... You two aren't from the same place, are you? No, not at all, Ibis said. Though, if you don't mind, I'd prefer not to get specific. Oh. That has to do with the mass and the secrecy, doesn't it? Well, that's okay. Ibis smiled and then walked away a bit. Henrik, if you do not mind, I'm going to continue inventory. No, go ahead, Henrik said, nodding. Ibis smiled back, then walked back to the back of the cavern and bent over to open up the chest. Open up a chest. Chest. Shook out some parchment and a quill with ink and proceeded to open another chest. Anyway, Henrik turned back to Chase. Where was your village? Is it nearby? On the edge of the forest, Chase confirmed. They call it Hilltown. Right, because of the slopes and the steeps, Henrik said. And how is your son now? He has not had any more scares since I attended him. No, nothing major. But the other day he fell in the trough for Rayner's sheep. Chase laughed. He was fine, but we should keep an eye on... He suddenly stopped. No, they couldn't do that. Because the day after that incident, Chase had gone hunting and returned to find the village burning. His family, Stacia, Ambel, Quentin, they'd all disappeared. And now, as the memories came flooding back, he remembered why he'd gone to the forest so late at night, why he kept walking despite being so cold and tired, because his family was missing. Because he'd run to see his cottage alight, the orange flame searing his eyes, the scent of wood smoke and ash all around, smoke filling his throat. They run into the forest, hoping maybe he would see them. Frantically searching, not caring for what happened, just as long as they were safe. Please let them be safe. Please let them be safe, somehow, somewhere. Chase? Henrik said slowly, his eyes filled with concern. Is everything okay? And with that simple question, he couldn't hold it in anymore. Tears filled his eyes and overflowed. Chase bent over and started sobbing, burying his face in his hands as his body shook. Henrik's concern grew into worry, and he leaned in closer, putting a hand on Chase's back. What is wrong? He asked quietly. Is it that... Could I help? I don't know what happened to them, Chase said in between gasps for air. town. I went out hunting and the town was on fire when it came back. And the cottage was on fire. And my wife, my kids, I couldn't find them. I thought I'd look for them in the forest, but I couldn't find them. And I kept shouting, but Oh. Henner's expression slowly shifted to horrified realization. Oh no, Chase. I'm so sorry. They can't be gone. Chase continued, a desperate edge in his voice. I couldn't see they could have gone out and I'm getting so caught up in the emotion. I'm misreading.
It's okay.
I couldn't see they could have gotten out and headed downhill or to another village, but I don't know. That chance that they could be, it's just... He gave up on forming words and just cried. Henrik didn't say anything. He sat with them, a comforting presence, letting Chase sob his eyes out, which was appreciated. Chase didn't want any words, any promises of false hope. He wanted to let the tears consume him. How could he have forgotten this what happened to his family? That they were the reason
Hypothermia's a bitch.
Yeah. They were the reason he was here in the first place. How could something like that slip in his mind? It was some time before Chase's crying died down. Slowly, the racking sobs petered out into quiet whimpers. Henrik reached into one of his belt pouches and took out a square of cloth, which he handed to Chase. Thank you, Chase mumbled as he took it and wiped his eyes. It's no problem. Henrik said, Chase, that is, I am sorry. He paused. Chase just nodded, so he continued. How was the village on fire? If I remember, most of it was stone except for the houses and the sloping parts. It was the oddest thing, Chase said, recalling the sight. The stone buildings were on fire too. Chase's eyes, Henrik's eyes seemed to sharpen. Really? Yes, I don't know how, but I know what I saw. No, I believe you. Henrik cleared his throat. You don't have to answer if you are uncomfortable, but was anyone there who was not supposed to be? Oh, yeah. There were strangers on horses. Chase remembered. Or at least some of them were on horses. They were all dressed the same, or similarly. Dark tunics. Did they have any sort of marking or insignia? I was too far away to see. No, wait. Chase closed his eyes to remember. Yes, some of them had the crest on the back of their tunics. Crest? The kingdom's crest. Glassfool's crest. The green field on the striped shield. That's how my mom taught me to remember it in lessons. Chase smiled for a moment, but it soon faded. You know, I was obviously more concerned at the time, but why were strangers wearing the crest even there? They had to be working directly for the royal family. Maybe they were there to help? Henrik didn't answer, though when Chase looked over at him, his face was dark and stony. Chase, I think we could send someone to look at the village ruins to see what happened. If you'd like, we could tell you if we find... That would be good, Chase said softly. Henrik, is something wrong? After a moment, Henrik put his owl mask back on. Yes, something is wrong. And I'll explain to you what it is after you are completely better from the shivering. That should only be a few more days. Is that okay? Yeah, I guess it's alright, Chase agreed. Maybe it was just the fogginess from the shivering, but he felt really overwhelmed and more than a little confused. But he got the feeling that he wouldn't be getting any answers right away, so he had to wait. That was okay. He was patient, even if the distress from his family was eating a hole in his chest. Thank you. Henrik stood up. I can come see you later, if you wish, but I have to take care of something right now. Feel free to ask Ibis for anything. Alright. Ibis looked really busy with a chest in the back of the cavern, totally absorbed in her writing on her parchment. Chase doubted she had heard any of their conversation, but okay. He'd ask her if he had to. Henrik gave him a small smile. I will be back. Goodbye. Chase waved as Henrik turned and left through the gave a slap at the front of the cavern, disappearing from sight. And he sighed, and looked up at the rocky ceiling. He didn't know what was happening, but he was sure he'd stumbled into something far bigger than he'd ever expected. And now we need to go find more music.
Yippee! Okay, slight break while that happens, because I gotta get some water and pee and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, be right back.
I can always do another ad break real fast. I also have to pee. Or I can entertain the chat. Whichever one. Oh, this one's nice. This one sounds like a forest. You can hear the trees. But there's not a lot of music. It's creaking. I don't know, it's kind of nice. This is gonna make me sleepy. I need something with like music. This is called Night Court. Library reading ambiance. This one. Okay, this one's getting really kind of like music. Q. Ow. Nothing. Ba 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 da da ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 ba ba da ba ba da da da. I don't know what I'm saying. I need to pet my dog. Winnie! Hello, baby! Look at that face! Look at the baby baby! Come here, see! Look at this! Hi, see! Hi, sweet girl! Hello, baby! Hi, baby! Hi, baby!
I returned for another Finadagger adventure.
I started the ad a little late, so we still have about 2 minutes.
That's fine.
I'm
just gonna open up
an hour and a half.
Tumblr again.
Come in. What if I have to go potty now? What are you gonna do then? Huh? Yeah, I booked you. There you go, up there. Are you such a sweet girl with the pretty brown eyes? Yes, you are, sis? Yes, sis? Hi! You want all the attention right now, sis? What moves in? You know, when's the closest? Yes, this is how I talk to my dog all the time. Deal with it. It's scientifically proven that dogs love the baby voices if they do this.
They love it.
They love it. They like the baby noises. They like being talked to like little babies because that's what they are. When you know on the floor right now because she's patting at the door, presumably probably going to go sleep with my parents. But that means that when she wants pets now, she has to put her paw up on my chair.
It reminds me of when we did the first trial for Dangan 3. And you're like, she's grabbing my hand.
She does that all the time. Like, I'm just like watching stuff, or like I'm playing it. I think I was playing Coral Hand the other night, and she's just like sitting on the bed, and I pet her for a second, like hello, and then she's like, as I'm like moving away to like turn back to my desk, she's like no, and she grabs me with her big old thick claws.
See, that's so. Cats often play hard to get. Like when Honey wants attention, she comes in, she brings her beanie as is her wont, and she drops it at my feet and then flops down at the side.
See, like Winnie is usually content to be by herself for most of the time, but when she wants pets, she will let me know. But usually I found out I have to initiate it usually, but like she's pretty open to pets like all the time, like. Because I've watched, like, videos before on, like, TikTok and stuff where it's like, how to tell if your dog doesn't want to be pet. And I'm like, Winnie doesn't ever do those. Winnie's down for pets 24/7.
Literally all the time.
Even when, like, she's half asleep, I'll still, like, pet her and she just, like, stretches and, like, leans into it. I mean, sometimes she pushes me away with her paws, but I also think it's just because, like, she likes contact. I don't know. It's not like she's trying to tell me to stop. Because I stop, she'll, like, wave her paw at me. Then I'll go back in and she'll still, like, lean and, like, kind of push me away with her paw.
She is adorable.
She is. She's a cutie. Winnie, do you want another treat? You want to go lay down on the soft bed instead of pouting on the floor? Yeah? Oh, girl. Okay. Back into it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what else to draw, so I'm just gonna chill for the rest of the stream, I think.
Hell yeah.
Maybe, like, make random lines.
Let me serenade you?
Serenade?
Are you serenaded yet?
It's a combination of serenade and narrate.
I guess so. I meant to say serenade you. I'm the best partner. Aren't you just enthralled by me?
I am.
Oh, Winnie's licking my hand. Are you done?
As is her wont.
As her wont. If I have touched food, she wants to lick my hand. There's the faintest lingering of flavor on it, and she wants it. Or she's anxious and she just wants to lick something. Are you done? Win-win. Stop it. Okay. That was ridiculous. You don't usually do it that long. You're so cute. Okay, stop distracting me with your cuteness. It took 3 more days for Chase to fully get over the effects of the shivering. During that time, Henrik and Ibis were frequent visitors, talking and helping him regain his strength. Occasionally, he'd see some other person in a mask enter the infirmary cave, usually someone wearing a bird-themed mask. But he saw some other animals as well. He recognized a hedgehog, a badger, a couple mice, a snake. And he noticed that the ones in the bird mask always came in with an apron always put on an apron before entering. Given how Henrik and Ibis had bird masks and would do the same, he assumed that the birds were the doctors for whoever these masked people were. None of the masked people talked to him, so he didn't. None of the masked people talked to him, so he didn't talk to them. But more than once, he caught someone staring at him. No doubt he was an unusual sight, and probably some sort of security risk. He could still remember that conversation he'd overheard between the man in the fox mask and the figure in the red cloak. Talking about how he shouldn't be there, how he could be some sort of enemy, he guessed. But he didn't blame them, though it did make him a bit uncomfortable at times. Eventually, the fatigue disappeared, and Chase could walk around and pick up and hold things without his muscles trembling. Henrik had brought him his set of clothes back, and Chase had quickly changed into familiar garb, which wasn't nearly as warm as the clothes they'd given him, though he couldn't help but notice his bows and arrows were missing. More security risks, probably. On the third day, at the time that Ibis had left the cavern, and Chase was on his own. On the third day, at a time when Ibis had left the cavern and Chase was on his own, idly sitting on his bed, Henrik walked around the canvas flat and right up to him. "Chase?" he said. "Hello, Henrik." Chase said. "How are you doing?" "I'm well, thank you. And you?" "Doing fine." Chase stood up and stretched. "Except I'm completely bored." Henrik laughed a bit. "Well, it's not the most exciting thing to be stuck in here." Chase smiled. Honestly, he preferred being bored to being constantly worried about his family. Henrik's expression became serious. As if reading Chase's thoughts, he said, "Well, do you remember what I said a few days ago? That we would go check Hilltown and see if there was anything left?" Silently, Chase nodded. "I have some good news and some bad news, Chase. And the good news is that we could not find any sign of your family being dead." The wave of immense relief Chase felt was enough to make him physically stagger. "Really?" he whispered. "Really," Henrik confirmed. "Oh, thank the elders." Chase sighed, and then a wave of nervousness shot through his body. "What's the bad news, then?"
They're not alive either!
They're not dead, but they're not, I have no idea where they are. Sorry, my necklace was bothering me for a minute. Henrik sighed, reaching up and taking off his mask so he could rub his eyes. Hilltown is gone. There are the remains of buildings, but no people in sight, or at least none alive. He paused. The bodies the group found, they looked them over, and none of them were children, women, or elderly. All of them were adult men, not killed by fire, but by wounds that would be inflicted by people, arrows and blades. He paused again. That was not all, though. The reason the group took so long to return was because they checked out the nearby mountain villages as well, and things are exactly the same in the three they found, burned, with bodies of men, and no one else. What color there was in Chase's face completely drained, leaving him as white as a sheet. The same thing happened in 3 other villages? It was too terrible for her to put into words. He'd been to one nearby village a couple times before, called Pinetown. The other 2, though he might have known them, their names escaped his mind. But they all had to be roughly the same size as Hilltown, with about 300 or 400 people living there. Altogether, that was as many as 1,600 people dead or missing. At least, they only checked nearby, Henrik said tentatively. We are going to go out further, see if there are more tragedies like this. Oh. Chase wasn't sure what to say at first, but after a moment he landed on a question. Who would do this? And why? We are not so sure about the why. As for who, Henrik hesitated. This may be difficult to hear, but do you remember how you saw strangers wearing the Gasul crest that night? They had to be working for the king. I figured that out by now, yes. It was really the only logical explanation. Henrik was clearly waiting for Chase to say more, but when he stayed quiet, he asked, "And did you wonder what they were doing up in the mountains? Very far away from Sulthair. Where would they were very far from Sulthair, where they would most likely be? Yes, but...
It's also possible to pronounce it Sweelthair, I believe.
Sweelthair. Sweelthair! My brain went pig call. Sweet.
Did
you not like?
Because like
Yeah, I looked over at Winnie. She like licked her lips at me. I interrupted when you were saying.
Yeah. Because like it's technically pronounced glass. Suil is technically pronounced Suil.
Glass.
Yeah. Yeah, but it said like so fast that it sort of like runs together. Swiel.
Yeah. Swiel.
So it's almost like
Swiel
like
there.
a W.
Yeah.
Yeah. Swiel there.
Swiel there.
Swool. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes, but
Linguistics aside. You guys chat, you better like linguistics.
Yeah, it's a big part of Fantasy Fast.
Yeah. Even in just the background, it's a big part.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but maybe there was some sort of group on patrol? Chase suggested that happens sometimes. And they saw the fire and came to help. Why are you shaking your head? Chase, Henrik sighed. You do not want to hear this, I understand. But those soldiers had to be the ones to start the fire. That's absurd, Chase said. Chase said weakly. Really, it made sense. Really, it made sense. Because even though it was true that soldiers sometimes patrolled the kingdom, it was rare that they would go up to the mountains. The terrain was difficult if you aren't familiar with it. In all his life, he'd only heard of nearby patrols only a few times. It was too much of a coincidence that they'd be there when the fire happened, but the bodies they found had injuries from blades and arrows, Henrik reminded him. The fire was not an accident. It was a cover for soldiers shooting down innocents. They probably took away all the townspeople they didn't kill, so they could not tell anyone what happened. Do you remember what you said? How even the stone buildings were burning? That could only be caused by wizardry, and the king has many wizards working for him. Whoa, wait, how do you know it was a wizard? Chase asked. There are other magic users. And how do you know that even if a wizard did cause a fire, that they are working for the king? You do not know that much about the branches of magic, do you? Henrik asked, raising an eyebrow. Only wizards and sorcerers would be able to conjure fire, and even then, only a very powerful sorcerer would be able to burn stone. And as for why the wizard was most likely aligned with the king, well, that is a longer conversation, but suffice to say, they have good reason to be. I can't believe the Alderaan.
Alterden.
It's a tear in the middle. I want to go tear.
Yeah.
Alterden knows more about politics in the kingdom than I do, Chase muttered. Henrik laughed. Well, the Dragonseas Mountains are very far away. Not many things affect you up here. Or at least, they didn't used to. His expression became serious once more. Chase, the king is not a good man. I have lived here for 15 years, and I have seen things change. He was good once, but he is different. He desires power and control, and he will go to any lengths to have it. The village is burning is the sort of thing he would do, even if we do not know why just yet. I need a moment. Chase sat down on the edge of the bed. His whole world had been flipped upside down. There was no longer ground beneath his feet. He was spinning through empty space, but still it made sense. The people praised the king and his actions when he took the crown after the previous royal couple, but over time, that praise had dried up. He'd assumed the people were just getting used to it, but hearing no news from the flatlands below regarding their leader, that was just odd. Or maybe deliberately odd. And of course, there was the evidence of his own eyes. Strangers working directly under the king, showing up at the same day Hilltown burned. It just made sense. This is a lot, I understand, Henrik sat down next to him, moving his owl mask to his lap. But our group, the ones you have stumbled onto, you're some sort of rebels, aren't you? Chase interrupted. The other day, before everything went down, my wife, Stacia, heard rumors that there were masked people in the forest and that they might be plotting against the king. That's the truth, isn't it? Henrik paused, then hit his forehead with an open palm. Well, I suppose I should have some words about people about being seen. Rumors are here already, damn it all. Rumors up here already, damn it all. We were trying to be subtle and invisible, like spirits. So I'm right. Chase summarized, a small grin on his face. Ooh. Yes, you are right, Henrik sighed. We are trying to fix everything, protect people, stop things like the village burning. Noble cause, Chase said. Thank you. And it is a cause you could help with. Chase blinked, unsure if he heard him right. Sorry? we could always use the numbers, Henrik continued. And as a hunter, you already have some skills. Of course, you do not have to, but we cannot risk anyone hearing we are up here, even though we are apparently rumors. He scoffed for a moment. So I'm giving you 2 offers, Chase. You can help us, or I will give you a tonic that will make you forget what you saw up here, and we will drop you off somewhere where you could move on with life. A tonic? There's something that could do that? Chase asked, leaning away a bit. Oh yes, you would be surprised. And those are my only choices, unfortunately. Henrik said apologetically. I trust you, but many of our people are more paranoid. We cannot have anyone knowing who we are. He paused and stood up. I can give you some time to decide. No, I've already decided. Chase stood up as well, grabbing Henrik's arm. You said that these soldiers who burned down town, they probably took evidence away that they didn't kill, right? That would include my family. His voice cracked at the last words. I need to find them. And it sounds like you could help me with that. He tried for a weak smile. Besides, if you made me forget something that happened up here, I'd go looking for Stacy and the kids on my own. We might even run into each other again, so really, it wouldn't do much. Henrik smiled, relieved. I'm glad to hear that, Chase. He put a hand on Chase's shoulder. And I will give you my word that we will find your family. We will help you get them back. Chase nodded, stiffening his resolve. If he had been there all night, he might have been able to get Stacy, Ambo, and Quentin safely, but he hadn't. And now he'll have to make up for that. He will find them, whatever it took. Oh, elders, finally! Chase gasped and turned to the source of the strange voice. The tent flaps had flown open, and in walked a man in a waist-length red cloak, with the hood pulled up. The same man that Chase had overheard talking to the other man in the Foss mask. Henrik jumped and spun around as well. Western. Western?
Schwestern. Yeah. Like Schneep, Schwest.
Schwest. Is it Schwest or East? I'm sorry, I thought you said West. Sorry.
What is that a reference to? West is a reference to something.
It's SpongeBob.
Is it?
Yeah.
I must have overheard someone else referencing it then.
Probably Phantom. There's a whole bit in SpongeBob where he's like flying on the Flying Dutchman ship, and it's like we need to go to the east, and he's like, east? I thought you said west. Is like that's west, Patrick.
I thought it was a reference to something. Maybe it was distractible. I don't know.
Honestly, if it was on Distractable, it was probably because it was on SpongeBob.
Probably.
Because those guys are millennials.
Yeah.
Hi, Winnie. I pet your chest for a second, and now you're begging for more pets, huh? Stop being a cutie. I'm gonna have to get
A reminder stream, I didn't grow up watching SpongeBob. Everything about it is foreign to me. Well, not everything. I know the memes, but... The many, many memes. But I don't know the context
finally
of
showed them the SpongeBob movie the other day.
The other day, it was like weeks ago.
It was March, beginning of March.
Yep.
Because it was March 7th, so it was almost a month
beginning
ago.
Of April. It's the beginning of April now. Man!
To be fair, this week felt like it went by in like 3 days.
Yeah. Time has become like a wibbly-wobbly mess.
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I did have a Doctor Who phase.
Me too. 10 was my favorite. Anyway. Western, do not scare me like that, Jackie. The moment the name escaped his voice, he clapped a hand over his mouth, eyes wise. Sorry, Hen. And don't worry about the name. If he's going to join, he'll find out eventually. The other man, Jackie, waved off the concern. He had a mask as well, though this one was in the shape of a wolf. There was a different black symbol in the center of his forehead, a circle with 2 dots inside. But his mask was also more colorfully decorated, including some red triangular markings along the edge. So far, his mask and Henrik's were the only ones with color like that. Besides the mask, Jackie wore a blue tunic pulled over a chainmail shirt. The end of a dark ponytail stuck out from underneath the hood, and bright blue eyes looked at Chase with excitement. It's so good to have you on board! On board? On board what? Chase asked, confused. It's just a figure of speech. I mean that you're part of the group now. Welcome to the Phantoms! Ducky hurried over and stuck out a hand in a blue glove. Chase took it.
By the way, like, little, fun linguistic thing there. Chase doesn't know the phrase on board because that means boats. He's never been on a boat. Yeah.
But Jackie has at this point, yeah.
Yeah. Jackie had sailor friends.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never realized why that was weird. It's just figure speech. It's part of the group now. Blah, blah, blah. Chase took it, and Jackie shook his hand vigorously. It's been so hard to recruit people up in the mountains. Every other location of ours is bringing in more people than ever, because the king keeps being a prick, but he's increasing his prickishness. But up here, there aren't as many people to begin with, and everyone's tied together in the mountains, and nobody knows what's going on down below. So you're the first. It's nice to meet you. Phantoms? Chase laughed in the easiest part of the rambling to take in. Yep, that's us, the masked Phantoms, Jackie confirmed, because we strike invisibly and before anyone knows we're there. And the masked part is obvious. You're gonna get one too. Well, eventually. Right now, we have a few backups. We're waiting to get more plaster to make more. When we get that, you could choose the animal and everything. Jackie, please, you're overwhelming him. Henrik stepped in and pushed Jackie back a bit. Give him space. A lot has happened. Sorry, I get excited sometimes. I know you do.
Jackie, our ADHD king.
Love him. Yeah, it's okay. Chase added. I was surprised. You were listening to our whole conversation? No, just the part near the end when Henrik was explaining your options, Jackie said, tucking a lock of hair behind one of the ears of his wolf mask. Anyway, if you're ready, we can finally show you around where you've been staying all this time. I mean, the infirmary is nice and everything, but it's still a cave. We need more open air in here. No, we do not, Henrik said firmly. Open air can bring wind, which can bring insects and other small unclean things. Not to mention if you could blow everything around and mess things up. Namet works so hard on keeping everything organized. Jackie rolls his eyes. Fine, you're the doctor. Anyway, Chase, we can show you around now if you want. You know what? Yeah, I'd like that, Chase nodded. I've been here for what, 7 days? 6, Henrik corrected. A long time, I'm tired of it. So, yeah. You can show me around now. Henrik beamed. All right. Come on, follow me. You're gonna love this place. He turned around and headed towards the canvas of at the front of the cave. Henrik looked at Chase. It will be a bit shocking, he said. Okay, Chase said, frowning uncertainly. Yeah, no, I said it right. What could be so shocking? Well, he's about to find out. He hurried after Jackie, with Henrik following him in turn, who was waiting for him, holding the flap partly open. All right. Jackie smiled at him and then disappeared through the flap, holding it open on the other side. Chase walked through. At first, he blinked in the sunlight, partially hidden through a cloud but nonetheless bright after being stuck in the infirmary cave for so long. Then, when the afterglow faded, he looked around. The cave entrance was on the side of a steep slope of rock, almost vertical. Before them was a large, almost empty space, the ground cleared of any brush and packed down into dirt. There weren't any trees nearby, but there was a line of long, white rocks? Curved rocks. They rose in size and continued into the distance, the lines curving gently. The gaps in the rocks were large enough for at least 3 people to walk through side by side, so that's exactly what the 3 of them did. Beyond the line of rocks was more space clear of brush, though this area was lined with tents, and with people. Some of them wearing masks, many of them barefaced, but with a mask somewhere on their person. They bustled about, carving weapons, equipment, or stacks of parchment. Carrying weapons. I said carving. Carrying weapons, equipment, or stacks of parchment. Or they stood and sat around, talking with each other. The air was cool, so they were all wearing cloaks or jackets, though. Chase noticed that he was the only one wearing a hat. Lines of rocks continued to curve around the tents, getting larger and larger to one side. Wait a second. What was that in the distance? Chase raised his hand to shade his eyes from the sun, eyes following the curve of the rocks. No, they weren't rocks. They were bones. Gigantic bones. That thing he'd seen a bit off to the side in the distance, that was a rib cage. He turned around, noticing the way the bones they walked between were similar, but got smaller and smaller. A tail? Yes, a tail. Probably of a reptile, judging by the shape. The skeleton curved around this massive area of space, big enough to fit half a hill town inside, and the area it circled was filled with tons of people. What the? Chase whispered. Told you, Henrik said, and you cannot even see the skull from here, or the legs, or the wings. Or, I'm sorry, wings? Chase repeated. What animal was this big, and had wings, and was reptilian? Oh, wait. He knew exactly one animal that fit all those qualifications. His eyes widened, and he looked back at the skeleton, mouth open as he gaped. Jackie clapped his hands. Welcome to Wyvern Lair. Welcome to Wyvern Lair, Chase. Come on, there's so much more to see. End of chapter 2.
Yippee!
Yippee! We could probably do one more chapter. I don't know. It's about to be midnight.
It is getting pretty late, yeah. It's up to you. I think these first chapters are like a lot of exposition.
Mm-hmm. Let me see where this one ends. This one isn't as long, I don't think. Maybe, it's long.
It's a lot of reading about, like, the magic systems and stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'll save that for next time. Yeah, I'm so tired that I thought this particular question mark right here was a 7.
Oh no. Yep, nope. It's not good.
Yeah, I'd rather read this. I'm stumbling a lot too, so I think we'll save that for next time.
Alright then.
But yay! Fantasy Mass!
Yippee!
Hopefully tomorrow we'll be doing some Ace Attorney.
Hopefully.
And on Sunday, I have no idea what we're doing. Because I think Sparky's back in the dorms. Maybe more repo. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
But until then, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Bye!
See you. Bye!